Welcome everyone to the 21st episode of 792 Florida Sports Podcast, and this is also the first year of 2020. Well, the first podcast of 2020. I am Hunter Williams, joined by Marty Paulman from the Prep Zone. Welcome aboard. I'm honored to have you on.
Hey, Hunter, good to be with you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Obviously, we got a pretty good list of topics to hit on for today's show. And I guess we'll start off with college football bowl season. We had quite a few interesting results across the board. Obviously, with the two college football playoff games obviously differing, I still personally, as I think I said on the podcast where I hit on these two games, I felt they really screwed up the matchups, having probably, in my opinion, the two best teams going head to head, and then basically just throwing Oklahoma to the wolves with a very strong team in LSU, with obviously Oklahoma being very depleted and probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. When in reality, I probably would have, the game that we were going to be getting for the national championship on Monday, I would have personally preferred to have that one, them against that game happening in the first round with Oklahoma and Ohio State if they're going to have to do that. But it is what it is. We'll get a very good game on Monday, but in general, there were other games. Like I saw, even though Virginia did hold their own with Florida, I'm sure you were watching that game. We also saw go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, as far as even in the matchups with playoff, I think Clemson and Ohio State was an excellent game. I mean, Ohio State was up nothing in that game. It had to come back. So actually, the two were very even. I don't know if LSU Clemson has been a better matchup. I think we'll find out on Monday. But I got to say that looking at, I'll talk about it in a minute, LSU I think is the best team, but Clemson hasn't lost. As far as concerned, a nice win season for the Orange. A little bit with a really, I think Virginia better. Most people realize. Really couldn't stop Virginia, but they had enough to win that game. So Florida is 11-2, and they'll head into 2020, hoping to probably get over that Georgia hump next year. And I guess the news came out today that Jake Fromm leaving Georgia to go to the NFL draft. So right there, that's got to be good for Gator fans. Jake Fromm is 3-0 over the last 3 years.
Yeah, I saw that. So the Georgia quarterback is going to be going. Tua's obviously leaving Alabama. Joe Burrow is going to be graduating LSU. There's definitely going to be some shakeup in the SEC with those quarterback positions. Though I feel like with Georgia, you do have a very good true freshman that's going to be coming in there, who with a talent around them, I do expect to be able. I don't think they're going to take much of a drop off when they got Carson Beck in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's going to be interesting because you're going from having a guy who's a 3-year starter and been very experienced for you. Now, Georgia hasn't been able to get over the hump and win that. They were in the national championship game 2 years ago. They've lost to Alabama. They've lost to LSU in the SEC championship game. So it's not like, Jake Fromm has really led them to the promised land, but he's obviously led Georgia to, 11-win seasons like had this year, the whenever Baylor in the Sugar Bowl. And I think that Georgia did well to show up and win that game too, because last year the Sugar Bowl, Georgia laid an egg against Texas. I mean, you really can't say anything other than that. They were a 14-point favorite coming in, and they just laid an egg and lost to Texas. That coming off the loss to Alabama in the SEC championship game. But Georgia this year showed up to the Sugar Bowl, and Jake Fromm, to me, not a high draft pick, I don't think. Really not overly impressed with him, except he plays really well against Florida, it seems like. But I didn't really see him leaving early, so it's interesting. Yeah, but Georgia's, I'm sure, going to have some guys coming in, but they're going to have to find someone now to come in and take. Of course, they had Justin Fields there. He's now at Ohio State, so if he's stuck around, who knows? But we can't worry about that anymore because Justin Fields is up in Columbus, Ohio now, playing for the Buckeyes.
Well, how much of a drop would you really think Jake Fromm to Carson Beck's going to be? Because we've seen Carson Beck in Florida, like one of the best quarterbacks to come out of the Sunshine State as of late.
It's interesting because I figured Carson Beck was probably either going to be redshirting next year or they're going to have Jake Fromm is going to be there as a senior. Now, you're right. I mean, it's wide open. It could be Carson Beck starting as a true freshman. And I don't know. That may be fine for Georgia because you're right. Carson Beck is a quarterback who led Jacksonville Mandarin to the state title as a junior. Pretty much, although they had some really good receivers and backs around them that year, but really got hot at the end of the year, and Mandarin kind of won that state title. I really surprised a lot of people winning that 8A title. And this past year, without those backs and receivers, really it was all Carson Beck. And after early struggles, he led Mandarin back to the playoffs. So we've seen Carson Beck, you're right, as a winner in this part of Florida. And I know Georgia does have a couple other guys, transfers coming in as well. So I think you're right. Carson Beck's probably going to get a good opportunity now to be a starter, and that may not have even been coming in. I don't think he would have even thought that because probably thought Jake Fromm was coming back next year.
All right. With obviously Georgia being one of the biggest tests in the SEC East for Florida, we see quite a bit of Florida players coming back. The only question is, I think there's been a lot of discussions over the past few years, like, is Florida under Mullen going to close the gap? And people thought this year probably would have been the year to close the gap and get that win, but the game this year, it played out pretty much as the previous 2 years were playing out. So is it really going to be enough? How much of the gap is the gap really going to close this year, or is it just going to be more of the same?
Well, I don't know if I agree there's a really big gap. I mean, if you look at it, this was Florida and Georgia played a 7-point game this year, a game that Florida just really the first half kind of laid an egg, and the second half they came back. And I don't think there's a huge difference between the two, and I think now with Florida, with Kyle Trask returning a quarterback, with Emory Jones as well, coming in, Anthony Richardson coming in from Gainesville East Side, I think that their quarterback position is going to be set. And the only problem Florida's going to have is finding and receivers, because they lost 5 receivers from this team, and it was really a team that had some excellent receivers. They lose Van Jefferson and among others, Tyree Cleveland. Now Jerron Grimes is coming back along with Jacob Copeland. But they do have the tight end Kyle Pitts returning. But I don't think that this is really a huge gap between Florida and Georgia. I didn't really see it this year either. Really, the game in 2018, Florida was leading going on the fourth quarter. So I think there's not a huge gap there. I mean, there has been one, but nothing really would surprise me if Florida can go in and beat Georgia next year. But it's going to be a little bit of a different team. The quarterback will be the same, but they've got to replace the skill guys. And one of the things that's going on right now in Florida is the talk of Todd Granson, the defensive coordinator. Mississippi State is interested after they fired Joe Moorhead last week as their coach. Mississippi State may be interested in Florida's defensive coordinator. Todd Granson was there before. So, they may be looking for a new coordinator. And to be honest, Gator fans aren't really impressed with Todd Granson based on the Georgia game this year. So it seems like that one game has kind of soured Gator fans on their defensive coordinator. And I don't know if a lot of them would be unhappy to see Todd Granson get that job at Mississippi State, but it sounds like some other names have kind of entered the picture there as well.
Speaking of Florida also, their game with Virginia, I knew that going into that game, I heard a lot of people probably thinking that was going to just be a complete runaway, as they felt Virginia didn't deserve to be ranked. Watching that game, I was actually kind of impressed with Virginia. I felt by the end of that game, they justified being top 25 in the country.
Well, I think the one thing that they had, and I think this was a problem coming in for Florida, and I even thought this too, because I didn't think this was going to be a runaway, but the thing Virginia had was a quarterback and Bryce Perkins, who was really, he could scramble around, he could make plays with his legs. He didn't do that a lot in this game. In fact, in this game, really more than anything, I was impressed with some of the throws he made. He threw for 4 touchdowns, 323 yards against really a Florida pass defense at the times has been excellent, but they burned Florida this game, just Virginia. I think there was just a lot of that belief that Virginia, especially coming off the Clemson game, the ACC Championship, where they were just destroyed, that Virginia was going to come in, and it just didn't have the talent level Florida had. But the one thing they did, though, have was, again, Bryce Perkins. He played about as well as he could possibly play, and their wide receivers made some big-time catches as well. So Virginia offensively they played pretty even with Florida. Now, the only issue there, the difference was the defense. Florida's defense was a little better. They made the plays. They had two also Michael P. Ryan just had a huge game. And that's another interesting thing from Florida. I mean, you watch Florida in 2019, they didn't run the ball. I mean, they didn't even really try to run the ball the last 8-9 games of the season, regular season. And then in the Orange Bowl, they showed up and let Michael P. Ryan take over, and he did. And as his last game as a senior, we'll see if that helps his draft stock. But it was kind of a disappointing year. They were expecting a lot out of P. Ryan. It didn't really happen. A lot of the offensive line issues for Florida, and they didn't have the best O-line. But also a lot of it is Dan Mullen and his staff just decided we're just going to let Kyle Trask throw the ball. And that's kind of what they did the last part of the season. But in the Orange Bowl, they mixed it up a bit.
I always thought P. Ryan, like, when it was him and Scott splitting time, I always thought P. Ryan was actually the better running back of the two, so I was surprised that they wouldn't try to take advantage of that when they had that offensive line and P. Ryan at the same time.
Yeah, you're right, and I think he has been, and I don't know, it's just one of those things where, and I think Coach Mullen would say that, you know, I think he wants to throw the ball anyway. That's kind of his mentality. But they have just been very honest about it and saying, you know what, we're just going to throw it. That's the way it is. And we're strong with that. We've got good receivers. We have good receivers, and we've got a quarterback who can throw it and do maybe and Jones. Also, I don't know. It's just interesting to see how things kind of changed in the bowl game from what they did in the regular season. But yeah, it was a good Orange Bowl game. It really turned out to be a pretty competitive game between Florida and Virginia. And Florida got that win, so they'll end up with an 11-win season, back-to-back years of 10 wins or more, and 2 years, 6 bowl game wins, both the Peach Bowl in 2018, the Orange Bowl this 2019 season.
Was there any other teams that stood out to you with pretty good performances this bowl season, besides the ones we already mentioned?
Well, and I was noticing this too, and I don't know what you're going to feel like this, but the SEC was 7-2 in bowl games. So, I mean, it was, I know that isn't always the best way to say how much conference is stronger, but if you're looking at it this year, the SEC had the best bowl season of any team now, or any conference, sorry. The Big Ten, they struggled a bit. They went 4-5, and with Ohio State losing to Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl, that took them out of it. Also, Alabama waxed Michigan at the Citrus Bowl as well. Now, Minnesota was an interesting team. I mean, talk about, I think they won 11 games for the first time in 105. I think it's been almost 150 games. 1904 was the last time Minnesota won 11 games. And not only did they win 11 games, but they beat Auburn in the Outback Bowl. And that was an impressive win to me because Auburn was a team this year that beat Alabama, that had been there, beat Oregon early in the year. They did lose to Florida, to Georgia, and LSU, but those are 3 quality losses. And Minnesota, they were right down to the wire. They were a top 5 team at one point this year, and they lost to Iowa. They dropped the game to Wisconsin, which cost them a shot at the Rose Bowl. But, that's a good win for them to beat Auburn. So that's an interesting team, Minnesota. I think the SEC, the 2 teams that lost their bowl games, Auburn and Mississippi State, Gus Malzahn probably back on the hot seat now, despite the fact Auburn won 9 games. But he'll be back next year. But Mississippi State, they lost their bowl game to Louisville, and they made the coaching change. So another team that was interesting to watch in the bowl this year was Penn State. Penn State and the Cotton Bowl against Memphis. That was a game that combined for 92 points. Memphis lost that game 53-39, and Penn State won 11-2 with their only losses to Ohio State and to Minnesota. So Penn State ends up as a top 10 team. Will be a team to watch next year, I think, as well. Another team in the Big Ten, it looks good. Iowa beat USC out in the Holiday Bowl and beat them pretty soundly. So I'm looking at those kind of teams. Probably the more interesting story, too, about the state of Florida, Hunter, both Miami and FSU lose their bowl games. Both Miami and FSU end up with 6-7 records. Now, we know FSU is, changing coaches. Mike Gravel's there now. He did coach